Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Game weekend for me.
Chris Carr is here.
Hi, everybody.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or a topic you'd like us to address, as long as we in the room deem it appropriate to be addressed, you can send it on in right now to www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Now, here's the good news about the tip link. Even if you're not watching this show live, maybe you're listening to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or maybe you're listening or watching our show a little bit later in the day when we're not live. This tip link is still good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're watching or listening later in the day, you can still send in a topic or question, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this, shall we? A brand new trailer for Captain America 4. Captain America Brave New World has dropped, and with it have come the tickets. And so when I saw that the tickets went on sale for it, I thought, oh, because, you know, Ann and I like to go to the very first Thursday screening. So I often will try to make sure I get those quickly because there's only so many seats, and we like to see it in the Dolby Theater. Only so many seats. Well, I went over to get them, and the theater was already 3/4 full.
Wow. Oh, dang.
And like I was in there like a good 30 minutes after the tickets went on sale. So, I mean, that was a good sign for it. I mean, they were saying, we did a story about this last week, they're saying Brave New World could open as high as like $95 million opening weekend, which would actually be pretty good. But, you know, we'll see how that all goes. But a trailer also got released for it. And I'm going to say I'm kind of underwhelmed by it. Now, if this new trailer was the first trailer I had seen, I think it was pretty good. But I feel like the marketing for Captain America Brave New World has just been a recycle of the same 45 seconds of footage, minute and 15 seconds of footage, with every new piece just a little bit something different or a little bit something new put in.
Yeah, there's not much more there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, and what is new, sorry, I don't care about. I don't care about the new Falcon. I don't think anybody does. I know they introduced him in the TV series. Does anybody remember his name? I don't. They did, and that's really more of a testament that I don't think they did a good enough job. If they knew that this kid was going to be the new Falcon in an upcoming movie, they should have done a better job to make him stand out a little bit better in the series. Have him do something a little bit more important, do something more memorable, because I honestly don't even remember the kid's name.
Joaquin Torres.
Is that the name of the character?
I believe so.
Well, so you know it. I didn't, okay? You're better than me. So I'm going
to have that just cross-stitched on a pillow.
I didn't know his name. I didn't know. So anyway, so then they end the trailer, and the new footage is, I make your old suit look new. It's like, that's the big...
But they've said that before.
Yeah, and I thought, because a lot of times these trailers, right? They'll run the trailer as like, name of movie, and then they'll put one more little tag at the end. But hopefully you make that tag kind of memorable. And like, that was the last tag at the end. Look, I'm not saying any of this takes away from the potential of how good the movie could be. I'm just saying, as what I'm guessing is maybe the final trailer. They didn't say that officially, so there might be one more. But for a new trailer, again, it was like mostly recycled footage we've already seen. What new stuff is in there isn't really interesting. I don't know. And this was the first time I'm going to say this. This was the first time. You know, one of my big worries about the MCU going back a couple of years was, why is everybody in the MCU just turning into Iron Man? Like, we got the Dora Milaje or Iron Man now. Ironheart is Iron Man. Spider-Man had an Iron Man suit. Like, everybody's just Iron Man now. This trailer felt a little bit more like Captain America is now just another guy with an Iron Man suit. Instead of with turbo thrusters, he's got wings. He's got his little... Now, granted, we were introduced to his little drone droids in a previous movie. Yeah, but it's just... He's just an all-tech guy now. And so, again, it may have worked I'm not saying it won't work perfectly in the movie. It might work perfectly in the movie, and I hope it does. I'm just saying it's like, another guy that's basically an Iron Man
Well,
knockoff.
how else is he supposed to fly, John?
Well, no, I mean, but he had the wings before, right?
Right.
Like at the first time when we met him, he had the wings, but now he's like everything's all teched out. He's got the heads up display. He's got like, I don't know. Anyway, again, like I'm saying, it could be perfect in the movie, and I hope that it is. So I'm looking forward to the movie. I got my tickets already.
Dang.
I'm just saying this new trailer didn't do much to move the needle for me. That's all I'm saying. Chris, you saw it. What did you think about the new trailer?
It definitely is more of the same, but I do just want to remind everyone that we also have a tendency to go, this trailer told me too many things, or this trailer was misleading.
I never say that.
I know you don't, but the audience often does. And we have, I can't believe that they gave this away in the trailer. Oh, this was so misleading that we saw, this image put in there instead of what actually happens in the movie, that kind of thing. So I feel like Marvel is kind of trying to take notes from the internet and then is going, well, what do you want? You know what I mean? I do like this little tagline of the one symbol stands for all.
Oh yeah, I
love
did like that too. Yeah,
I think
I like
that's
that.
lovely. And I know Ray was really excited about the helmet.
Oh yeah. I just
how do you
said
breathe?
if he's gonna go higher, if he's gonna fly higher, like in the clouds, I don't know what's stopping bugs from flying in his face.
Well,
So
also
I thought the helmet was perfect. I mean, I get what you're saying about the Iron Man thing, but
Gets hit with a bird.
it's military, and I think it's more like the modern warfare that we have in this cinematic universe. That kind of makes sense because he's not gonna get superhuman powers. There's only a couple ways he could actually even the score with like more powerful guys, but they do kind of look Iron Man-ish. I will admit that he kind of reminds me of like a space marine with wings, like the helmets. Like it kind of reminds me of Halo a little bit.
Little bit of a thing.
Yeah. I for me, all the trailers have worked for me.
Of course they have. They've all been the same.
including this one because.
You like the first one. You like them all.
You like the rest of them.
If some of this footage was from the last trailer, then I probably didn't watch
Oh,
the
yeah.
last trailer.
Oh, maybe.
Or if this
Thought
was
I'd do
strictly for a pre-sale ticket trailer, then
This felt
okay,
like a TV spot to me.
it makes
Yeah.
sense. But I'm just as excited as you. So,
But
I
I'll
can't
tell
wait to
you
see
what.
this.
I'll tell you what. To your point, if I were looking to disrupt this planet, and I noticed that a lot of people are dependent on Iron Man technology, and I don't know, my last name was Doom, I might look to take advantage of this.
Maybe.
So you never know.
But remember, Doom isn't in this universe yet.
But the nice thing
Well,
is,
that we know of.
it's
Maybe
all
I'm wrong.
unlocked with facial recognition.
Yeah, so it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all completely safe. So yeah, look, again, I am looking forward to the movie. I love Anthony Mackie. I really like him as the character Sam. I still have my trepidations about another character, regardless if it's Sam or Bucky or whoever, now calling themselves Captain America. But again, the Falcon and Winter Soldier series did a nice job of easing us towards that, and we'll see how well it plays out. I know I'm still dying to see Harrison Ford as a Red Hulk. That is the thing that has me most excited for this movie. And maybe that's not a good thing, that the thing I'm most excited about isn't Captain America, it's Harrison Ford's Red Hulk. But I mean, they put him in there for a reason.
Yeah.
So maybe. Although I saw this one conversation. So somebody says, when that part in the trailer, which is now in its like third or fourth trailer, when he says, "You're not Steve Rogers." I just imagining Anthony Mackie saying, "And you're not William Hurt." So I don't know.
Oh,
Shots fired.
oh.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you go and get your tickets? Apparently, a lot of people already have. Maybe we should do a Monday. We'll take a look at what the ticket sale reports are. But what did you think about the new trailer? I mean, if I just saw it for the first time and this was my first trailer, I would think it was pretty good. It's just that it's mostly recycled footage we've already seen. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? In one of the more questionable professional moves I've seen somebody do recently, Greta Gerwig, who's of course coming off what was her #1 box office film of the year, Barbie. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it tipped out like over 1.5 billion. I think it came in right around $1.5 billion, which is, I mean, crazy. That movie was such a global success.
It is.
And
Got it right here,
1.4.
1446.
144. So got close to 1.5.
Yeah.
So it got her award season notice. There was Oscar nominations, there were Golden Globe nominations, there was SAG. I mean, it was just nominations all over the place. She then had the world at her feet, and her choice of next project was Narnia. Which, listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater of the IP. I was reading C.S. Lewis long before most of you were. I mean, hell, I read Screw Tape Letters and Mere Christianity and all that stuff before I even read the Narnia stuff. I'm a huge C.S. Lewis guy. But, I mean, the Narnia films kind of ran out of gas. They ran into the ground, and I just don't know that there's a big audience for it now. I hope I'm wrong. But I thought it was a weird choice. Compounding that weird choice, what she was doing it with Netflix, which was really odd considering she had spoken in the past about movies need to be played in theaters. It's like, and yet you're doing Narnia with Netflix. Well, then there came some talk that she was trying to pressure and push the people at Netflix to give this new Narnia film some kind of theatrical release. There was some talk that maybe it could be IMAX. Well, now it's official. This comes to us from Variety. Greta Gerwig's Narnia adaptation for Netflix is getting a theatrical IMAX release. They wrote the following. Greta Gerwig has leveraged her Barbie star power to convince Netflix to give her the big, broad theatrical release she wanted for Narnia, her adaptation of C.S. Lewis's fantasy series. After months of negotiations, IMAX announced that Narnia will be released exclusively on its screens worldwide for 2 weeks in advance of the film's debut on Netflix. Narnia is currently slated to open in IMAX on Thanksgiving Day 2026 and will premiere on Netflix at Christmas of the same year. All right. Couple of questions I have, though. One, if it was that important to Greta, why didn't she get that in writing first before agreeing to do the movie? That's the part that always confused me. Like, hearing about this, she signed on to do the movie, great, and then later saying she's trying to push Netflix to do a theatrical release. Why would you not get that done first? Like, why would you not say, okay, yeah, I'll do this Narnia film for you, Netflix, but I want a theatrical release first. And once we get that worked out, then I'll sign a contract. So I don't understand that part. Fine. This is great, though. This is great because I agree with Greta Gerwig. These movies belong in theaters. And for this thing to get an IMAX release, good for her. I mean, it's not the full theatrical wide release sort of idea. It's kind of getting a little bit more than even what Glass Onion got. But it's yet another little step by Netflix being willing to get their heads out of their asses and experiment a little bit more with putting films in theaters. They had tremendous success with Glass Onion. Tremendous success with that, not only with how much it made in a small, tiny, limited release they gave it in theaters, but then they reaped more benefits because that theatrical release got it even more attention when they did drop it on Netflix, and it became like one of their biggest releases ever on the platform. I think they'll have the same benefit of this and the same enjoyment of this. I hope this will be another success for them and make them even further go, maybe there are some projects we should be looking at. Maybe we give it a 3-week theatrical window. Maybe we do more films with a 1-month theatrical window. You know, I get it. Netflix makes movies for Netflix. I get that. But the sooner that they learn by putting some movies in theaters first, it's even better for Netflix. I think the better off they'll be and the better off filmmakers will be. Anyway, Chris, you saw this whole situation. It's actually been pretty complex for a while. Mm-hmm. What do you think of this news and what does it indicate to you?
Oh man, I immediately went to altruism and went, wow, it wasn't enough for her to revive the box office with Barbie. She's got to save Netflix too, because Netflix keeps getting in their own way. Yeah. Of course they want to put things on their streamer, but why spend millions upon millions of dollars for things that aren't getting theatrical releases? Especially something like this that is so fantastical and worldly beloved. It's been translated to 57 languages. It's sold over 115 million copies. you would want that in theaters because that's just leaving money on the floor.
Yeah.
I think the partnering with IMAX specifically is incredibly smart here because it's not just a, oh, well, yeah, it's on screens. Because a lot of us still have that, well, I'm just going to see it when it's streaming then. You give us that experience, right, for the people who do want to see things in a certain format and see it on a massive screen, have an incredible experience at the movies, not just catch a movie, but really feel it. I think this is just really, really well executed. I understand how it seems a little odd for her not to have this from the jump. I'm wondering how all the negotiations shook out immediately. None of us were in the room. I wish we were. I wish I got to know about that a bit more. But I think this is a really great move for Netflix. And I think that this is exactly what should happen with movies of this potential caliber. Put it on a theater screen and let people go see it, even if it is just for 2 weeks. Because as the data has shown us, it drives traffic to your streamer. So
Yep.
it's just a win-win.
I mean, and that's the part, like the part that if I'm a streamer and I want as many people coming to watch this movie I'm producing on my streaming service, like you said, Chris, the data has proven if you put it in theaters first, you get an even bigger debut on your it actually is good for your streaming service.
Yeah,
Like, forget about the money you'll make at the box office, which is free money because you weren't going to have it in theaters at all. Every dollar you make in there is free money. So forget that for a second. It's best for your streaming service. And that's the part that I really hope they start to figure out.
The problem is it makes Ted Sarando's brain swell.
Apparently.
Yeah, to
Well,
like put into theatrical something he's tried so hard to
So
derail.
hard to resist. So hard to resist. But, you know, there was also a time a few years ago that they said they would never get into live stuff.
Yeah,
and
and then
here we
Raw.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Here we are now. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Greta Gerwig's Narnia film, I still don't know why this movie's being made, but is going to get a IMAX theatrical release, 2-week exclusive window before going on to Netflix. I think this is great, not just for the movie and moviegoers. I think this is really good for Netflix, and I hope they figure that out. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, more and more, we talked the other day about how Severance pull that publicity stunt, which was so great. And Game of Thrones did it, or House of the Dragon did the same thing. Movies did it with like the smile viral thing. Movie studios, particularly distributors, in the last bunch of years, have been looking for more and more ways to promote their films. One of the goldmine ways they found to promote their films is through the platform of TikTok. That became, you know, one studio exec said, that's our first thought is, how do we promote this on TikTok? It's become a major platform for movie studios to promote their films. That platform may be disappearing. You guys know that for a while now, there's been talk that, oh, they might ban TikTok but it's going to be challenged in court. Well, guess what? The last court hearing just happened at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has ruled this morning that, yep, we can ban TikTok. And it could be banned as early as Sunday. Now, this comes to us from NBC News, who wrote this. Supreme Court gives the green light to the law that could ban TikTok. Basically, the story goes on to say TikTok mounted a free speech challenge to a bipartisan law that would ban the app on a national security grounds if its Chinese owner does not sell it. I think this is an important part of this. The law that got passed a while ago was actually a bipartisan law. This was Democrats and Republicans together said, yeah, we think that this app poses a national security risk. And they passed a law to force. Now, the basic idea was this. China, or the company that owns TikTok, had to either sell the company or have it get banned in the United States. And they had until this Sunday. They challenged it in court. They lost every court case, finally came to the Supreme Court. And it should also be noted that every single justice on the Supreme Court, both the liberal and the conservative ones, it was unanimous. They all said, yeah, this law is good. It can go into effect. Now, that doesn't mean that it will go into effect on Sunday. It could. Now, the current administration has said that they're not going to ban it themselves because the day after the ban is set to go into effect is the day the new administration takes over. So the current administration has put out a press statement saying, yeah, we're glad about the Supreme Court ruling, but we recognize that since this is going to be on the last day of the administration's authority, this needs to now be an issue decided by the next administration, which takes over on Monday. And there's been no indication yet about what may happen there. So literally on Sunday, you could go and open up your TikTok app and have it not work. Or it could still be there as normal. We'll see. But the big thing is this has caused a lot of movie. I talked to one movie executive probably about 2 months ago when this discussion was still going on. They work in a marketing division. It was like, yeah, it's causing us to rethink some of how we do the marketing of our films, because we've been leaning more and more into the social media platforms, particularly something like TikTok and influencers there to market the movies. And this could signal a rapid shift for a lot of studios, maybe back more towards traditional movie marketing ideas, maybe just pivoting and going to other short video formats, whether it's YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or whatever, or just find the next new big thing. But it's going to be interesting to see if this does happen and TikTok gets banned this weekend. It will be interesting to see how the movie studios pivot. Chris, what did you think about the Supreme Court ruling this morning on this? And how do you think the movie studios and distributors will pivot from it?
I mean, my biggest takeaway, I was telling these guys of this is what we came together on. This was the issue.
This was the thing that the Democrats and
Cool.
Republicans could get together and agree on.
I'm so glad we could come together on this one. Good job, guys. You're doing a great job. I think it's worth noting that there's another popular Chinese app coming up that people are already jumping ship onto using the hashtag TikTok refugee, Red Note, which had a surge of 700,000 new users in the past 2 days, according to CNN.
Wow.
So people are still going to use these kinds of apps.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right? We've seen it before with people with VPNs or downloading different apps or switching to different social media platforms in general. So people are still going to do this. I do think the viral sensation of what TikTok has done and what Instagram Reels to an extent too has been able to do is great for movies though. Because when we're talking about budgets, a lot of times marketing isn't factored in there, and that's a whole other layer. And social media movement can help a film that doesn't have a huge blockbuster budget really gain some traction. I remember learning about the film Dee Dee through Instagram.
Right.
And I don't think I would have caught that film if I hadn't just popped onto a couple reels that happened to be talking about it. And of course, your algorithm is tailored to you and gives you kind of things that you're already looking for, independent film or whatever that may be for you. But I think it is a big disservice to the really kind of creative and strong sense of ingenuity that marketeers have been able to create in the last few years. We're still going to see stuff like the Smile viral thing. We're still going to see stuff like the Severance stuff, but those things take money and execution. Every single person has a phone, and you can get people to soundbite something and redo it. You can get people to do a little dance. You can get people to do whatever, and it helps promote your movie at a fraction of the cost of getting a billboard or putting up a TV ad where you're regurgitating the same footage over and over again.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a loss to just the kind of creativity that marketeers were able to have for a while there.
Now, I've seen a bunch of people saying, well, wait a minute, why? Why are they doing this? The basic underlying thing for this was that there was a concern that the company that owns TikTok is not only a Chinese company, but is very much controlled by the Chinese government.
Yes.
And they collect all the personal data of American citizens. And the Senate and the Congress and the Democrats and the Republicans, they all said, that's not a good thing. We don't think that's good for our national security, that an adversarial foreign nation is collecting all the personal data of our citizens, and we need to stop it. That's why they're saying, hey, TikTok is fine if you sell it. If you sell it to somebody else so it's not under control of the Chinese government. I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong to feel that way. I'm just saying that was their rationale. That's what was behind them wanting to do this. Now, right now, the new administration coming in they've only said they haven't decided whether or not they're going to ban it or not. So the current administration is saying, we're not going to ban it ourselves on Sunday, because that's our last day in power, and it really falls to the next administration to make that decision. And the next administration is saying, yeah, we might, but we're not sure yet. We're still going to look at it and figure out if we're going to ban it. But what has happened though is, as of Sunday, the Supreme Court has cleared the way. The government can just turn it off. It's all, they can do it. It's all legal now. So at any moment it could be gone, or they won't. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, as far as average user goes, I don't know what the big deal is. Like, YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and others do basically the same functionality, but it is a very, very popular platform. And for movie studios that have really started to use and target a lot of their marketing strategies for their movies and TV shows have come to rely on TikTok a lot too. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? You know, there's been rumors for a few months that Marvel may be looking at developing a Strange Academy series. Well, there are rumors, and I want to make sure we use that word today. Rumors.
I love rumors.
There are rumors going around
God.
that it looks like Disney Plus may have just been greenlit this thing. A Strange Academy. This comes to us from Bam Smack Pow, who wrote, while nobody at Marvel has spoken about the existence of a Strange Academy series, head of streaming television animation Brad Winderbaum did previously reveal to Entertainment Weekly that the studio's new approach to streaming television is that they are developing a lot of shows now simultaneously in a way that is much more like traditional television. That allows them to write multiple pilots and show Bibles before deciding what they want to greenlit. They really should have been doing this right from the beginning. Ultimately ensuring that the concept is feasible for TV, it sounds like Strange Academy is one of the projects that they were happy enough with to move forward on. In the pages of Marvel Comics, the Academy is set up by Doctor Strange himself so that he can train future sorcerers of the Marvel Universe. According to the rumors, the series would have Wong fill that role instead, meaning that Benedict Wong would likely be the one headlining it. And that does make sense when you take everything into account, particularly the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange is already heading for its own film franchise, with a third film expected to start shooting during or after the upcoming 2 Avengers movies that he will no doubt be starring in. All right. So, having highlighted that this is not confirmed information from any of the studios or anything like that, this is a series I think Marvel should do. Like, again, Marvel had been doing too many, and there's a number they've done that I don't think they should have done. This is one they should do. And there's a couple of reasons why this works really well. One, it gives them an opportunity to go more into the mystic with the Marvel Cinematic Universe as they're trying to expand things out. 2, it finally gives them a headlining vehicle for Benedict Wong. Because, you know, even again, we go back to that thing that Kevin Feige said 2 years ago. He said, it's now the Wong Cinematic Universe. And it gives him an opportunity to do it because he has killed it in this role every time he's been on screen. And to finally give him a actual vehicle as a leading role, I think it would be great. I think the show sounds like it could be a lot of fun. I think it could be a great episodic kind of thing. Also, it kind of ties in well with Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness after the sorcerers were just decimated after their battle with the Scarlet Witch. So he's now kind of got to rebuild the Jedi Academy, if you will. And he is, and again, guys, don't forget, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme, not Doctor Strange, at least not at the moment. So if this is true, and we have no confirmable information asserting that it is, that's important. But for the sake of discussion, if it's true, I'm all for it. And I think it's about time they give Benedict Wong a leading vehicle. Anyway,
Yes.
Chris, what do you think about this idea? Is something like a Strange Academy the right kind of project for Disney Plus to undertake?
Oh, hell yeah, it is. Oh my gosh. It's Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters meets Harry Potter. It's great. It's just so fun. This is a
I love
relatively
that.
new story, too, because the first comic issue came out in 2020 and then ran through about
nice.
2022. So relatively new IP for Marvel. Really fun stuff that allows them to bring in some of those other characters, too. I mean, Man-Thing teaches magical plant care in certain issues. Agatha Harkness is a teacher in some things. You've got the son of Dormammu showing up. You can do a lot here.
I would love Man-Thing to just a quick cameo in there because we've already seen him in,
Yeah.
you know.
I just want him to be like trimming a bonsai tree or something, you know? I just
Would
want him to have
Agatha
a
be
great
like
time.
the Professor Snape of the group?
Potentially, you could do a lot. Dr. Voodoo is one of the
Yeah.
faculty members too. There's some really cool stuff in there that you can do a lot with that makes sense for a serialized television show. And I think this is the kind of content that they should be making, because then you can take a couple of the little member berries who've been sprinkled about. We can maybe figure out something to do with Clea. Right? We can maybe figure out something to do with the cast of A Werewolf by Night and
Right.
pepper them into this story so that their existence
Oh,
makes
because the
sense.
Bloodstone. Yeah, Bloodstone. Right.
Right. Yeah.
You can do so much with it, and anytime we can dive into the mystical aspects of Marvel, I think it's a good idea. It's so
All
fun.
I know is one thing: if we don't have Professor Madison, I revolt.
Okay, she needs to be a counselor at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Counselor.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
she just is like, honey, what do you need? Why?
Yeah.
Lungers, this
I
one's
just
really
gave,
angry.
I just gave you the Netflix sign off. I was like, "Hello, net signed."
Yeah,
Yeah.
be so good.
I just saw somebody in the live chat, and I'm glad you brought this up. Zarian the Barbarian said they need to bring back Mordo. And they really do. Like, wait a minute, wasn't he in Doctor Strange 2? That was another Earth's Mordo. They need to bring him back because, like, we've never really got the fulfillment of the end of Doctor
Yeah.
Strange 1 with there's too many sorcerers.
Well, and this is a great place to explore that. You have
Yeah.
all these new kids. This is that Order 66 moment of, nope, we're going to kill all these younglings. There's no reason for any of
Oh,
these
he's gonna
youngsters to
Anakin
learn
them?
magic.
He's
And you
gonna
can totally do
Anakin
that.
them.
Also, another possibility for Madison is there's a gym teacher in the series who just teaches gym. I think Madison could do that
It's a
too.
bit of a weird science like
I'm just
crossover.
like, okay, today we're all gonna just do line dancing. I don't know. We did it at my school. It's fine. Climb
Yeah.
this rope.
One thing I did also appreciate about this article is it kind of buried, but they talked about how they're going towards that traditional like television model where they come up with a lot of scripts and a script Bible. Maybe even they shoot a pilot
and
before
then
Green.
decide what to produce.
Yeah.
You know, like the good old days.
Yeah,
It's like I
what
said,
we
it's
used
what
to
they
do.
should have been doing from the beginning.
you know that proven model that worked for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, maybe
That
we
was
should look
neat.
into doing that. Anyway, again, we don't know that this is factual. We don't. That can't be emphasized enough. But I like the idea. I think it could be cool. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? You like the idea of a Strange Academy? I mean, Doctor Strange and Clea are going to be off doing Doctor Strange 3, but having Wong be the head of it, I think it's got amazing potential as a Disney Plus series. What do you guys think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to stay in the realm of reports and rumors right now, some speculation stuff going on out there. But one of the big issues that I've got with the MCU, the bone I've got to pick with Kevin Feige right now, where the hell is Shang-Chi 2? Shang-Chi, flat out, best movie they've done since Endgame. I'm not everybody agrees with that. That's fine. You're allowed to be wrong. Shang-Chi is the best movie Marvel has done. Maybe I'll give that one to Daredevil or Deadpool and Wolverine. I keep wanting to say Daredevil and Wolverine. Maybe Deadpool and Wolverine surpassed. But before Deadpool and Wolverine, Shang-Chi is the best movie they'd put out. And they've been promising a sequel and promising a sequel. And then we find out the director, Destin, has been like, oh, I'm going to do this Avengers movie. No, wait, I'm going to pivot and go over and do this Spider-Man movie. And it's like, okay, where's Shang-Chi? Well, according to the internet rumor berries going around, apparently they're now looking at shooting Shang-Chi 2 in 2026, along with Doctor Strange 3, as a matter of fact. And they're saying Sam Raimi could come back to do Doctor Strange 3 as well. Now, Comic Book Movie writes this. It's unclear whether Destin Daniel Cretton plans to move straight from Spider-Man 4 to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings sequel, though it's certainly possible. As for the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness follow-up, it's previously been reported that Sam Raimi will return to direct. Both movies were once said to be crucial chapters. Now, this might explain why we've had the delay. Both movies were once said to be crucial chapters in the multiverse saga, with Shang-Chi's 10 rings expected to be tied to Kang the Conqueror, which is why we saw that ring-like imagery in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. As of now, we'd say both projects have likely been overhauled to part of the Mutant saga. All right. So that could be one of the major reasons Shang-Chi we haven't had any movement on, is because, oops, like the roadmap we had was going to have it all interconnected with Kang somehow. Kang is now gone. They got to go back to the drawing board. I hate to say it. but I don't think Destin's going to be directing Shang-Chi 2.
Oh.
If the report is real and true, which we do not know that it is, but for the sake of the discussion, and they're looking at shooting this thing in 2026, I don't know that Destin's going to be, because remember, when they start shooting a movie, a director has been working for a year on that movie already. Like they've already been working on a year with design and story points and sets and like concept art and storyboarding and animatics and all this kind of stuff. They've been working on that movie for a long time. And if he is indeed doing Spider-Man, then I don't know that he'd be ready to go for a 2026 start date, because that means he has to start working on this movie this year. So I have a feeling, and that's fine. That's fine. He doesn't have to direct it. I'm sure if they let him handpick a director for it, that's good too. I don't like the idea of them not even shooting a Shang-Chi 2 until 2026, because that means earliest we get Shang-Chi 2 is late 2027. Earliest we get it. Now, I do think we're going to see Simu Liu as Shang-Chi in the Avengers movies. Like, of that, I have very little doubt. They're going to work him into those movies, so we're at least going to see him. But, I mean, I like hearing that they at least have a plan for it, but the idea that we may not get it till late 2027, maybe even 2028, kind of a bummer to me. I don't know, Chris, what do you take away from this story?
Do they have a plan?
Do they, though?
Like, is it the same plan that Blade is following? Because I don't trust or believe anyone. I don't think it's happening. This is a long gap between movies, right? Shang-Chi came out in 2021. This is objectively such a excellent film. This is so great. The cast is delightful. The story was wonderful. I love this movie so much, and I've wanted the sequel for ages. I hope that they actually do have a plan in place. I hope they actually are going to get this up and running soon. But it does feel like the kind of PR statement of, oh yeah, we're still working on that. Again, I go back to my Texas roots. They're fixing to make Shang-Chi 2.
They're planning to make a plan.
Yeah, they're fixing to do it, and time is nebulous, so who's to say when it's going to happen? I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'll give them a pass on the Blade comparison, because we've at least got one of them. We at least, right? They have at least made one Shang-Chi movie, which we have not gotten for Blade yet in the MCU. I don't know. But I mean, this may sound dumb, but listen, if we're honestly talking about Shang-Chi 2, maybe not hitting until like maybe 2028, it's not silly to say we may get a Blade movie before Shang-Chi 2.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, if they could get,
Hooray.
to use Chris Carr vernacular,
Don't give me hope.
they're pooping,
They're pooping a group.
If they can get their ducks in a row and actually get things moving in the next few months on Blade, because they still claim they're working on it, then it is very conceivable that we could get a Blade before Shang-Chi 2. If you believe at all that they're still even doing Blade, which, I'm not convinced of. I am convinced they're going to do a Shang-Chi 2. Mm-hmm. I'm not convinced they're still going to do a Blade movie.
They can't really either. Go ahead, Ray.
They don't even have a costume yet.
They don't even have a costume.
I'm tired of this, man. Forget it, man. Forget it.
Forget it. Just don't even want to talk about it anymore.
I'm excited about this news. I love Shang-Chi. It was a good movie. I martial arts in the Marvel universe is so cool to me. I can't wait to see more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what. I still think, like, overall action sequence, I still think the airport fight in Civil War is the best action sequence that Marvel's done so far. But I think the best fight scene in the MCU is the bus scene in Shang-Chi.
So good.
With DJ Snake's Run It playing in the background as the fight's going on, and then freaking Drago's son gets up in the back of the bus, shakes off the coat, puts out the blade, fighting Shang-Chi's busting through. It is the best fight scene they've ever done.
Every fight scene in that movie was incredible.
Top
even
notch.
the skyscraper fight scene.
Yeah, the scaffolding.
So good.
And even the way they did the rings. Even what was the villain's name?
His dad?
Yeah, his dad.
Yeah, why am I freezing on his dad's name?
The opening where he's taking out that army
Oh yeah.
with the rings.
But then the fight between Shang-Chi and his dad.
Oh
both of
yeah,
them
when he
using
steps on the rings, like so many,
Wenwu was the name of
so
the
many
dad.
things you could do with the rings. I can't wait to see the rings back on screen.
Yeah, I there's just so much good. And by the way, the fight in the ring with him and his sister when he finds her at the fight
Oh
club
yeah,
thing,
that
that
whole-
fight was great.
Dude, I'm just realizing how good that movie.
And you know what? I never used to like. I'm going to admit I was never a fan of Aquafina. Up until what came first, Crazy Rich Asians
Yes.
or the movie where she says goodbye to her grandmother?
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy
I
Rich
believe,
Asians.
And then The Farewell.
When Crazy Rich Asians came out, and I was like, okay, she's really funny in that. And then she did that movie, The Long Farewell or The
I
Farewell.
think it's just called The Farewell. Let me
That
double
movie
check,
was
though.
beautiful. If you guys haven't seen that Aquafina movie, where
Yeah, The
basically
Farewell.
there's like they I never knew about there's this tradition where it's like if somebody's dying, family don't let them know they're dying. Don't tell them they're dying. But so the whole family knows that this grandmother is dying and none of them will tell her. And so she travels there to go say goodbye to her grandmother. It's a beautiful movie. It's charming. It's wonderful. And that's what kind of cemented it. But then when I saw her in Shang-Chi, I've two things that I love about that. One, I just love the dynamic between Simu Liu and Aquafina. They were great on screen together. And my favorite part, they didn't get them romantic. There was no romantic involvement. It was like just
None of that
two
mushy stuff.
best friends.
Yeah.
And I loved that because a lot of filmmakers would have gone into the automatic, oh, and then they fall in love. Nope, they're just best friends. And I loved that. I thought it was great. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you buy this idea that maybe they have a plan to do their Shang-Chi 2 now? I guess I get it. If everything was going to be tied into Kang and Kang went away, that does make things complicated. I get it. Do you think we're going to see Shang-Chi like I do in the Avengers films? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Under the category of we don't get to have nice things. It is now 2025. And one second. Hold a second. Yes, there is still no Spider-Verse 3 movie. Spider-Verse 3,
Well
Beyond the
done.
Spider-Verse,
Well done. There.
was originally supposed to come out in 2024. It was originally supposed to come out in 2024. We recently heard from studio insiders that don't count on it and coming out in 2025 either. Which means at the earliest, we're probably looking at 2026 for this movie to come out. That was supposed to come out in 2024. Now, of course, there was a lot of drama surrounding the creation of the second film, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, with a lot of reports of the animators being pretty much worked to death, bad working conditions, deadlines, changes, and all this kind of stuff. And so maybe that has something to do with them maybe slowing down a little bit. But there might be even less further along than we thought. You guys might remember about 4 or 5 months ago, we did a story where one of the voice actors said, no, we haven't even started recording our voices yet.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. Well, now it's 2025. They still haven't. This comes to us from the folks at Screen Rant, who write the following. In a new interview with Decider, Spider-Verse actor Jarrell Jerome, who plays the alternate version of Miles, was asked if his voicing sessions is underway for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, with the movie still not having a release date. Jerome, who brought Miles G. Morales to life in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, confirmed that they haven't yet started, but offered the following positive update for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Jarrell Jerome said, no, in saying, no, we haven't started recording our voices yet. I wish. We haven't started up yet. A lot of things being figured out, but good things. Oh, good. You're figuring things out. That's awesome. That 2 years on, you're figuring things out.
This seems to be a running gag with productions where, I mean, like we just heard from Mangold yesterday. Yeah, we're thinking about things, and we're like, that was 2 years ago and you're thinking about things. And now this, yeah, we're thinking about things. And there was something else that they pulled the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, we're thinking about things, but I haven't heard back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Look, one of the holdups, clearly, you got to make sure you do your animation better. I get that. Does that account for a 2 year delay?
It might.
Now, Shamik Moore, who does the voice of Miles, I mean, I know he's been very busy fabricating fake relationships on social media. So,
Wait, what?
oh, you didn't hear about that?
No.
You can go and look that up.
Oh, look it up right now, actually.
Anyway, the fact that they're now look, what I said 4 or 5 months ago was, let's not be too like worried about them not starting recording the voices yet, because Chris, as you taught us, that's actually one of the last things that they do. It's
Sometimes, yeah. Especially
sometimes.
So
Not always.
traditional animation used to be you do a voice, you'd have the animation, and then the
Right.
and then everything would be put together. When you have high-profile actors, which means a lot of times when you're using on-camera actors, they do what's called scratch VO with the animators.
Right.
And this is what most people are doing nowadays: is scratch VO goes down, the animators can work around that, and then the actual voice actors come in and they tighten up everything around it. Particularly with everything going digital, you can move the mouth flaps now to fit what the actors have done.
Okay. So, I mean, so that's why we talked about a few months ago.
Yeah.
It may not be the worst thing, like, because they could have a lot done on the movie already, and they just haven't brought in the voice actors yet. And
Exactly.
they could have brought in other people to do voices to hold it in place before they bring in the main actors to actually do the real tracks. Well, now it's 2025. And number one, they still haven't recorded. And number two, they still don't even know when they're recording. But hey, they're getting things figured out. So I went, listen, Spider-Verse, in the grand scheme of things, the last Spider-Verse movie only came out in 2023, right? So it's not like we're 5 years in. Okay, so I'm aware of that. It's just that, you know, Lord Miller stood on a stage and told me we were getting the next one in 2024.
This feels like the college years for a lot of production companies. They're all out there finding themselves.
They're just figuring themselves out, you know,
Yeah.
They
finding
haven't
out
had
who
a
they
water
are.
in 4 years. They think all their friends are mad at them.
Yeah, they're
a great time.
experimenting, you
Yeah.
know.
And listen, these movies are nothing short of magnificent.
Oh, yeah.
Like I believe the two Spider-Verse movies, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, without hesitation, these are the two best Spider-Man movies ever made. And so I can afford some patience as we wait for the third one, because if the third one is on par with the first two, it's instantly in the conversation of the greatest trilogies of all time. I'm not saying it tops the list, but I'm saying if Beyond the Spider-Verse is on the same level, not even higher, of Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, it gets in the conversation of the best trilogies ever made. Maybe, you know, in third place, fourth place, but whatever, it's in the conversation because these movies are spectacular. They are the crown jewels to me of, you know, and that's the funny thing, as much as we bash on Sony all the time, the reality is Sony's made the three best Spider-Man movies ever made. Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. They're the three best Spider-Man movies ever made, and Sony made them all. They've also made the worst ones. But, yeah, we focus on the positive for now. I think the only thing that's bothering me is if they hadn't announced multiple times that Beyond the Spider-Verse was coming in 2024, I don't even think I'd be worrying about it at this point. You know,
that
again,
makes sense.
because the last one came out in 2023.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't come out that long ago. I would be sitting here going, just waiting for Beyond the Spider-Verse news. But the fact that they announced multiple times that's coming in 2024 and it's not, and there's no way we're getting it in 2025. Like, there's just no way that's happening at this point. So hopefully 2026. I don't know, Chris, you hear these comments, you know better than any of us in this room, as somebody who works as a professional, not only voice performer, but as an instructor as well. What do you take away from this story?
It is getting more and more. Oh, now I am a little concerned just because we're getting closer to that self-inflicted deadline. What we always talk about, or at least what I always bring up, is I am glad that they are taking more time so that their animators don't get worked to the bone like last time.
Right.
Because that was a huge story that came out of this, of so many animators getting burnt out, hiring new people after these people phased out, working them for, you know, over 60-hour weeks and everything, which somebody in the comments is going to say, what's the big deal with that? It's not a suffering contest, folks. We all should work hours that make sense. That's all. That's all. Everyone should work and get paid what they deserve. But we're at the point now of all of these actors sounding concerned about their own job security
Yeah.
that it is troubling. Because again, there's so much you can do in these movies that aren't focused on the dialogue. So much of this is them in their masks and the faces moving without mouth flaps again. So you can animate so much stuff without them coming in to do their own voiceovers and doing that specific matchup.
Right.
And we know these are going to have big epic fights. We're going to play with different styles. Every world is going to have its own kind of artistic fingerprint, if you will, just like we saw in the last film. But it is getting a little messy. The whole, oh, we've always had directors, we just didn't tell you guys. Oh, we have all of this on lock, we just didn't
that was
publicize
weird.
it. There's just a lot of mess right now. And it's all self-inflicted mess is what it sounds like. Of, hey, maybe just don't tell us stuff.
Yeah. Stop
Maybe-
announcing it.
Yeah, stop making announcements of when this movie is going to come out, and then we're all going to have a big sigh of relief. To your point earlier of, oh, hey, I get a movie soon. We're not in a Shang-Chi situation where we have almost a decade between films, right? We're
Right.
creeping up on those 7 years. We've got time, so just let it all exist. There was, 10, 15 years between the Incredible sequels? We'll be okay if you just don't tell us we're getting it that soon
Yeah, if you
in
just
that
don't-
particular case, because animated characters can stay their age. That's the magical part here.
Just ask the Simpsons.
Exactly. So just stop talking to us, y'all. Just go do your work. Keep your head down.
By the way, our channel member Tor is at it again. Just gifted a
Yeah.
bunch of memberships
Oh,
out. Thank you, Tor.
yay.
Appreciate that, man. Anyway, look, I wouldn't even care about any of this if I didn't love these movies. And at the end of the day, we're talking about movies we love here. We love them. And I'm only getting antsy because I love these movies so much. I don't know. We got CinemaCon coming up. Maybe we'll get some kind of an announcement at that. Anyway, guys, whatever you think about this, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends over at CookUnity. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, CookUnity. You ever feel like so much of your day revolves around planning meals or preparing food, especially when you're trying to eat healthier? I know we all do, but that all changes when you discover CookUnity. Now you can enjoy vibrant, chef-crafted meals without spending hours in the kitchen. It's freed up so much of my time and energy to focus on my other goals. CookUnity partners with award-winning chefs, the same chefs you see on TV and those five-star restaurants, to create small batch meals just for you. These meals are made with fresh, local, in-season ingredients delivered right to your door. And here's the best part. They arrive fresh, not frozen, and all it takes is a few minutes to heat them up. I recently tried their Mom's Sunday Sauce Rigatoni, and it was incredible. Plus, knowing that I'm supporting local chefs and sustainable suppliers makes every bite even better. Whether you want variety, convenience, or just better food, CookUnity has it all. Reset your routine with convenient, mouth-watering meals crafted with local ingredients by award-winning chefs. Go to cookunity.com/Campea or enter the code Campea before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using the code Campea or by going to cookunity.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at CookUnity for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Suthia says, finally got on board with Ted Lasso, and I'll admit, this is a show I usually don't watch or even seek out to watch. It's fantastic. Good character writing, where the characters are likable, except for Nate. Punk Arse, B-Word, season 4 or spin-off.
Oh, they're
It's
doing a season 4. Yep,
Yeah.
they're doing a season 4. It's all like they haven't come out and made the official announcement yet, but they re-upped the actors' contracts. They've secured the production, all that kind of stuff. They're doing a season 4. And remember, most importantly, they changed season 3, the end of the season 3 from the series finale to the season finale. So yeah, that's definitely coming. Again, yeah, Ted Lasso is just one of those shows we need every once in a while. Every once in a while, I said this about that Lupita Nyong'o film, Queen of Katwe, which if you haven't seen that, awesome movie. But there's no big bad guy in it. Like Queen of Katwe is just about good people doing good things. And it makes my heart smile when I watch it. Ted Lasso is the same kind of thing. Yes, there's what's-her-name's ex-husband, and Nate becomes a little asshole for a while. But really, in Ted Lasso, there's not really a villain. It's just good people trying to do good things. And it's such a delightful show and so fun and funny. The premise is ridiculous. Of course, a football coach would never be hired to be a soccer coach. Of course, that would never happen. But in this crazy little world, they did it, and they made it charming and fantastic. All right, what's next?
All right, Tom with a two-parter and begins in the best possible way. Jonathan is absolutely right about the transition from silent films to sound being a downgrade for cinematography. It took a while for them to get back to that level. Ben-Hur is a great example. Visually, the 1925 film is on par with a 50s version. Silent films also had giant sets. For Ben-Hur, they built a massive arena on Venice Boulevard. Other films I recommend for spectacle are The Crowd, Greed, which was a massive film, and Faust, which has shots that feel like they could be in the new Nosferatu or the old Nosferatu.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of came up yesterday as well, but the whole idea about before they had sound, you had to tell everything visually, right? Everything had to be done visually. And when sound got introduced, it kind of took some of the onus off that, and they were able to back away from that a bit. And I think you're absolutely right, Tom. It did take some time for Hollywood to get caught back up. And that's why watching, like when you watch these old movies, if they feel completely different, not just because of the lack of sound, that's why, because they had to everything had to be so expressive and so communicative through the visuals. And it was a totally different art form at the time. All right, what's next?
We got Lord Helmet. Regarding Skeleton Crew, low viewership. It feels like Skeleton Crew is in the same spot as the Solo film was in the sense that it's good, but the Star Wars project that came out 5-6 months beforehand turned audiences off Star Wars as a whole, and they decided to skip it. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, listen, there's no doubt that the Acolyte hurt Skeleton Crew. There's no doubt about that. 100% it did. But you got to remember too, the low viewership report only applies to the first week. That's the only official report that's come out is the first week. Now, what we've heard from studio people is that week after week, the viewership went up and up and up, but the official data numbers haven't come out yet. So whenever you see people talking about how, wow, the viewership for Acolyte was really low, that's only for week one. And they were expected to be low. They were expected to be low. It's not your traditional big sci-fi action, sort of thing, all that kind of stuff. It was expected to be low. The real telling of the story is going to be once we see those official week after week numbers. Because if they did what the report said they did, where every single week the viewership got bigger and bigger and bigger because people were getting turned on to the show, that's where the story is going to be told, and we'll see how that turns out. All right, what's next?
Okay, your name says, from Skeleton Crew, Fern to her mom, yeah, the galaxy's scary and dangerous, but everywhere we went, even in the worst places, they were good people too.
I loved that line. Mm-hmm. I really did. Because, it made you think, did they run into good people? Oh, yeah, they ran into the owl. Even the nice whore on the planet. You can't have a good story without a whore with a heart of gold.
Boy.
A heart of gold.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. But she was right. I mean, that was a very wholesome moment when she said that. Everywhere we went, yeah, there was chaos and it was dangerous, but everywhere we ran into people who were good people too. And that was really nice. The show's so good. I really enjoyed that show so much. All right, what's next?
Anonymous is starting to feel like that James Gunn DCU lineup announcement will go down in infamy. Even outside the DCU, the messaging and public comments from creatives on DC projects have gone from messy to problematic. Have an all-hands meeting on messaging ASAP.
No idea what you're talking about. Other than Andy Muschietti, none of that is true.
Yeah, it's just that. We've got a series out, done.
The series is out, is done. The first film is shot and completed. The second film is now in production.
Yeah, it's just Batman.
Everything is exactly where they said it would be. The only messy point seems to be Andy Muschietti, who I like very much. But that seems to be the only messy point is Andy Muschietti. Everything else is literally they got everything out on time, on schedule. Everything's running like clockwork. So you're wrong, except for the Andy Muschietti part. That is a mess. That situation needs to get cleaned up. But that seems to be the only point of contention.
It's just the one nugget of poop that's just not in a group.
Yeah. I still believe there was some loss in translation with it.
3 different times?
Yeah.
I don't think maybe. That's really funny that would happen 3 separate times. Though. All right, what's next?
Blade's 33rd screenwriter writes in a 2-parter, been brought up a couple times by viewers, but have any of you watched Disclaimer yet? I was late to the party.
That's the Kate Blanchett one, right?
Yes, I was late to it, but think it ended up being one of the best shows on TV last year. Is that Apple TV?
It's Apple TV.
Okay. Brilliant performances by Kevin Kline, Kate Blanchett, and Sacha Baron Cohen.
I didn't even know he was in that.
He plays her husband.
Only 7 episodes, yet very powerful. I didn't piece together where it was going until episode 6, but once it went there, it really made me reflect on why I didn't see it coming, and that was a main point of the show, worth a watch, in my opinion.
Okay, because I'm only an episode in, and I need to go back.
there you
Okay,
go.
so you started watching it. See,
and Kevin Kline is incredible in that first episode.
I only know
Glad to
like
see Kevin
2
Kline
people.
doing that.
First of all, I've been a huge Kevin Kline fan ever since A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh, so
I
good.
love that guy. He's so good. I only know 2 people who have watched this, and both of them say it might be the best show of the year.
Dang.
I'm like, really? They didn't go so far as to say it is the best show of the year, but it's like, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Like Kevin Kline, Kate Blanchett. I mean, and it's Apple TV. So how are you liking it so far?
The first episode is very interesting, but it is a whole bunch of let me prompt questions kind of
Okay.
thing. But Kevin Kline's performance is just heartbreaking in that first episode. So I'm interested to see where else it goes.
One of the greatest lines in cinematic history. Oh no, it's Ken
Ken
coming to kill me. One of the greatest lines ever. Thank you, Kevin Kline. All right, what's next?
It's Jason Bateman. Jason is Batman. It's hi from me and my cat Miles. Any tips for staying motivated to work on your craft? Putting together topics and doing your show takes work. How do you stay motivated when maybe you are tired or have family stuff going on? Also, cheers for Sonic movies making $1 billion. They never will, but cheers for it.
It did though.
Yeah,
If
you make
all
enough,
together.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you make enough
Jonathan.
of them, eventually they'll hit $1 billion.
There you go.
I listen. The guys in the room with me can attest to this. It can get wearing. See, I love doing the show. Prepping the show, not the most fun thing, and it takes more time than doing the show. And you know, Jonathan and Ray can especially attest that there are days that they'll roll in here, and I'm already in a miserable mood because I've been sitting here at this desk since 6 a.m. and they come in and like Jonathan walk in, hey, there's nothing. There's literally nothing to talk about. I've read like 75 outlets this morning and I can't find a damn thing. I mean, yeah, but you know what is fun? You know what part I do like though is like once I've gone through the whole process and we've got the topics that we will be discussing together, I really do like the prep work then of getting, like, okay, we got the topics. Okay, that's done. Now I start going through each topic and prepping, pulling data and information and research on them, sometimes putting little graphics together, sometimes just figuring out what we want to talk about and all that. That part's fun, but yeah. The motivation, I like paying my mortgage. That's good motivation. That's really good motivation. But honestly, my biggest motivation, and I'm being dead. I'm not trying to, spout platitudes or anything like this. Honestly, my biggest motivation is I am so aware of the honor that it is that so many of you guys, like we literally have thousands of people in our live stream right now. I am very aware of the honor that we have that you guys choose to come and hang out here with us every day. And nothing makes me angrier, nothing makes me more frustrated than when I feel like we let you down. And my biggest motivation in those times when we're trying to get stories together is there's a ton of people that are taking time out of their day to come and hang out on our show today. We got to have something for them. We got to have something that's interesting for them, educational for them, entertaining for them. We got to have something. And, negative motivation isn't always the best thing, but that is something that pushes me a lot in a lot of the things that we do. And so, yeah, that's kind of my motivation for that. Chris, I mean, as somebody who works in the creative field too, what do you do when you run into those walls?
Ooh, I mean, I don't always handle them with grace. I remember the time that I cried on the show once when we kept covering all the Ezra Miller stuff because in the parking lot I found out my friend's dad died. and then got to do the show and was a mess. And then the internet was like, this girl's ridiculous. Look at her crying about it. And it's just because people don't know what's going on. So that's also just a lesson.
Okay, they also didn't listen because you made it clear you're like, I got a lot of stuff in my life.
Yeah, I was like, I'm having a really bad day, so I'm really sorry.
So clearly these people don't listen.
Yeah, well, no one does, right? It's the same thing again, headlines versus articles. So I don't always handle it with the most grace, but a lot of times it is just hey, I can be a really welcome distraction to somebody who's having that hard day.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, everything going on in California right now, right? It's a real privilege that we can come to work. Oh my gosh, because it was really touch and go there for a minute of can we even get into the office? Can we drive by that fire? And it's such a privilege to still have our homes and still have our health and still be safe and be able to come and talk to you guys about just silly, goofy things that we really love.
Yeah, I literally came to work that first day. I smelled like smoke.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, that's from all the marijuana
Yeah, that's
you do
true.
in your car
It
before you come to
was
the
a little
house.
skunky. It wasn't wood.
That doesn't smell like forest fire, Jonathan.
Dude, trust me, bro. It is.
All right, what's next?
Bobby Jackson says, with all of the T'Challa recast talk, it definitely seems like more people are on board now than a few years ago. Also, I would take Aldous or his brother Edwin Hodge as Black Panther. I love Aldous, the Aldous idea.
Yeah,
He's
Aldous
great.
Dumbledore. He's
Yeah.
great. I think you were 100% right. I definitely feel today like more people have come around to that. And again, like I get it. When I still remember exactly where I was. We were in our place in Burbank. I was sitting on the couch that was against the far left wall, and me and Ann and Ryan were watching the new Bill and Ted movie. And
Fingers
I-
on the button.
checked my phone, and the news came across that Chadwick Boseman had died,
Yeah.
which was just like stunning.
Yeah.
And so this is whenever the topic comes up, I always say this. Yes, it was the dumbest thing in the world for them not to recast T'Challa, but I understood. I understood that it came from the right motivation. Everybody was hurt. Everybody wanted to do right by Chadwick. Everybody wanted to honor Chadwick. And so I was never upset. Like I never got mad at people for not doing it. I just think the best way, and I've said this for years now, the best way to honor Chadwick is not to take this vitally, culturally important character that he brought to life for us and throw it away. I just didn't see that as the best way to honor Chadwick Boseman. I always thought the best way to honor Chadwick Boseman is to come in and pick up the baton for him and carry it for him now that he couldn't, and carry on that legacy and carry on that character, that vitally important character. Because remember, Black Panther isn't the character. T'Challa was the character. And I just thought that was the way to do it. And now that a few years have passed, I pick up exactly what you're saying. The more and more interactions I see online now, more and more people seem to be coming around to that way of thinking. So whether they actually do it, we'll find out. All right, what's next?
Bobby continues on open mic. Someone asked who would make a good foil to Spider-Man if he was a villain. And you mentioned Punisher. My pick would be either Daredevil or Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi would be an interesting one. I think your Daredevil pick's a little bit closer. Like, so somebody asked me on open mic the other day, if Spider-Man, let's say, was a villain, who's the hero that is the best juxtaposition for that? And yeah, so it's like I said, let's do a process elimination. Take out Thor. Thor's not the best. Take out Hulk. Take out a few of them. And one of the suggestions came in Punisher. I'm like, that's a good one. because he did hunt him.
But Punisher's very questionable hero. But I like the Daredevil one. Daredevil would be a good one
Daredevil
too.
makes sense to me. Yeah.
Agreed. All right, what's next?
Lorraine says, hey, John, it's disappointing that Naomi Scott's performance in Smile 2 is overlooked this award season. But with the Academy's bias against horror, with the exception of Substance, it's not surprising. She's getting the Toni Collette treatment.
No,
I disagree.
no, completely disagree. Listen,
And Hereditary was more of a premiere type of film than...
okay, I really like Naomi Scott very much. And I think she's going to continue to have a great future and whatever, but she simply did not deserve. Like, she was good in Smile 2. Don't get me wrong, she was good in Smile 2. But to me, and it's just my opinion, there is no world in which that performance deserved Academy Award consideration. And so I respect that you felt it did. I totally respect that. But since you're asking me, I'll let you know. I don't think it remotely deserved that consideration. Although she's got a great future.
I will say this very telling of her performance in Smile, because this is a second comment we've gotten.
It might
about
be
her.
might be the same person.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing it might be the same
I do want to
person,
see it now.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Preston says, sucks that today on my 50th birthday, this was yesterday, my favorite visionary passes away. First got to know Lynch with Twin Peaks and Lost Highway, which made me want to write stories outside the norm. Also, his masterclass is amazing. Highly recommend it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like one of the, I repeated this on open mic last night, but it what was really great about David Lynch is and this is why I said, Chris, and I want to know what you think about this. I said, in an industry that is often accused of sameness, Lynch was a radically unique voice. He was a visionary. He did things completely differently than other people did. And he was one of those rare guys who, because a lot of times you get these directors come out who want to be just so artistic and they end up making like garbage to watch. He was one of these guys who was like wildly and crazily artistic, and yet he could also make his movies really engaging and really fun to watch all at the same time. So I thought that was a big loss. Did you have a favorite David Lynch?
Oh, Mulholland Drive.
Yeah,
And then
that's
Blue
a
Velvet.
great one.
Love Blue Velvet. I just love his quote too of how, and I'm gonna butcher it, of if you live by your own artistic principles, you'll only die once. And if you become a sellout, essentially, you will die twice.
That's great.
And I love that he tried one commercial venture and then went never again.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got a few from Juan Epstein. First one, John, do you consider the original Matrix trilogy to be one movie as well, or the original Indiana Jones films? Just trying to understand the distinction. Have a great weekend, guys.
No, I think I'm guessing what you're referring to is that I made a comment before that. Somebody asked me, what's my favorite movie of all time? Star Wars. But like when I say Star Wars, I don't necessarily mean Star Wars A New Hope. What I mean is Star Wars, Empire, Return of the Jedi. That first trilogy to me, that's what I mean when I say Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is my all-time favorite movie, and I mean that. No, I don't apply that to any other movie franchise. I don't apply that. I certainly don't apply that to The Matrix.
Yeah.
I don't apply it to Indiana Jones. I don't apply it to Lord of the Rings. I don't apply it, but actually, you know what?
Maybe to Lord of the Rings, right?
Sometimes I will refer, because in the conversations when come up of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, when Star Wars and when I say Lord of the Rings, I mean the trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I do kind of mean Lord of the Rings too,
You know-
but I don't apply that to any of the other trilogies. no.
I'll kind of back that up too, because when I think about it, maybe if you really love Indiana Jones, you could apply that. But if I watch it, like I can watch any one of those individually and be good. I could watch any one of like whatever. But when it comes to like Lord of the Rings, I don't typically will just watch Return of the King or Two Towers. I usually start at the beginning and go.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I'll do that with maybe Return of the Jedi. But other than that, I start from Star Wars and I go. So I kind of understand that mindset.
Yeah.
Maybe I would say Back to the Future too.
Oh,
Back to the
sure.
Future as well.
Yeah,
I do that with all three. But yeah, not all of them.
All right, what's next?
So then Juan says, John, why do you upgrade to a large popcorn if you said you only need a fraction of it? Do you take it home? And also love you, Ray.
Yeah,
They auto upgrade you though.
yeah.
they do.
Well, first of all, that is an absolutely valid question to ask. And it is a question I ask myself sometimes. But the reality is, I don't know until I get into my seat how much that popcorn I'm going to eat. Because you're right. I'd say a good 75% of the time, I get about a quarter of the way through the popcorn and then I stop eating.
And I always ask for some, so.
And then, yeah, well, which is great when Ray is with me, because then I can just
Yeah.
pass it down.
Because I don't order popcorn because I don't eat a lot of it, but I do want that popcorn, just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, so like I could order a small, but then I'd get a medium anyway. So just in case I cover my bases, I order a medium, which then, because I'm an A-list member, they upgrade that to large.
Heck yeah.
So I just get the large. And then, sometimes Anne will want some. But the only flaw of my wife's character is that she doesn't like butter on her popcorn. I don't understand that. Freakish behavior.
What an animal.
So what we have to do is I'll get a large popcorn, right? And then she'll get a bag or a box, and I'll dump some of the popcorn into that so she can have that. And then I apply the deliciousness, goo of the gods,
Yeah.
butter
Yeah.
onto it.
Glad you confirmed this,
It's
Butter.
just
Yeah.
corn then.
Yeah, otherwise
It's
just
just cooked
corn.
corn.
Just
Why
eat
do you
corn
want that?
if you don't want that. Butter is just made to be on popcorn.
Something has to be on popcorn. Just something.
Popcorn is a butter delivery device.
What's crazy too is that AMC, if you get the large, you get a free refill.
Oh my
So
god!
I remember one time I went in
Yeah.
with a group, and I was like, yeah, so I'll grab a popcorn. They're like, okay, we'll upgrade you to the large. And the guy, this only happened one time, but it can. They're like, would you like do you want your refill now so you don't have to come back? I was like, sure. So like our whole group had popcorn.
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
God bless America.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right, what's next?
Okay, so Juan's final one here. Happy Friday. So I don't know much about box office. I understand that Superman doesn't have to be a huge success financially, just be great. But with the trailer reception and the inevitable marketing tsunami.
Inevitable.
Oh, what did I say? Inevitable? Oh, inevitable marketing tsunami. If it's great, how could it not kill?
Because we've seen every year, we see many great movies that don't kill at the box office. It happens all the time. And look, there is a reality that there are still a lot of people out there, fairly or unfairly, who have given up on DC. I mean, all you got to do is look at the box office of the last like 5 films they did. And on top of that, there's also a smaller segment, but of people who are like, no, it's Zack Snyder, DC or nothing. So there's going to be some of those. And so it's going to have a bit of an uphill battle. Listen, I still think Superman can do well. I'm not saying it's destined to do poorly financially. It could still do very well financially. I've always just tried to drive home the point that, number one, don't expect it to be $1 billion film. And number two, the main thing that DC needs of this Superman movie is to reestablish the reputation of the brand so that future movies can do better and do well. It's fine if you make... DC's not worried about the $100 or $200 million they make or lose on Superman. That's not what they're worried about. They're worried about the $8 to $10 billion they want to make on this franchise with future films. And that only happens if Superman kills it. So it can still do well financially. It's just not the most important thing to them if you're thinking big picture and long term. All right, what's next?
Yo Mama says, in the Clerks 2 argument about Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars, if each of you worked there as an employee and Randall and Elias turned to you and said, hey, settle this once and for all, so which side of the argument would y'all in? I think we know 2 of you.
There's only
Yeah.
one return, and it's of the Jedi. That is a great scene, by the way. I love Clerks 2 so much.
Is that the one where he goes one ring to rule them all? And he's holding up an onion ring.
I don't remember
At
that.
the
Yeah,
restaurant, in Clerks 2, I think.
In the restaurant?
Yeah,
Could be.
yeah. Never mind. There's a nerd. There's a
You
nerdy.
might be right. I don't
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
just don't
show.
remember it.
Anyway,
Okay.
I mean, I remember the donkey show conversation.
Yeah, they're saying King Daddy Goat says that's right.
But I mean, I would take. I mean, look, I passionately love The Lord of the Rings. It's in my top 10 favorites of all time. I watch it probably almost every year. But there's only one of the return, and it's of the Jedi. So yes, to me, it's Star Wars.
This one here is going to say Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What, the owner of Speak Friends Studios? What?
Of my son, Gimli, son
Whose
of
dog is
Gline?
named Gimli?
Yeah. I watch these movies at least once a quarter, and I do full Hobbit feast with them.
I actually I consulted my employee handbook. It specifically says I don't have to answer that question. So
Oh hey,
yeah, I'm
you
moving on.
got a handbook?
Yeah.
Dang.
All right, what's next?
We got seconds from a disaster who says, "Happy Friday. I have to take on the star
Asterisk.
asterisk in Thunderbolts. In a trailer, Red Guardian screams, 'We are the Thunderbolts,' and Bucky says, 'We can't call ourselves that.' So I think it's because Red Guardian keeps calling it that, like running a joke through the ground. It could be.
Maybe, but that seems like a weird reason to put an asterisk in the title. I would think it would be something a little bit. Again, this is a question that came up on. Somebody was asking an open mic, an open mic last night. Said, what you got theories about the asterisk? So we talked about it a little bit.
It's a sun.
I mentioned that you thought it was a representation of the sun, which I don't think that is.
But after the movie's out for a while, I think it actually means there's another tagline underneath, probably Thunderbolts, Rise of the Century or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But I don't think it's just because Red Guardian says it and Bucky says we can't call ourselves that. I think it's probably more significant than that, but I honestly don't have a valid theory about what it could be right now. So we'll see when the movie comes out.
It's actually making me mad now.
It's
Like when I see it, I'm like, is that a typo? Did they accidentally press that?
Typo.
Like, tell us.
And then Kevin Feige just had to pretend like they did it on purpose. Oh yeah, the
There has-
asterisk. Yes, it has a deep meaning. You'll
There has to
find
be
out.
some major spoiler involved. With
Yeah,
it.
probably. All right, what's next?
CM Waters with a two-parter. Mr. Open Mic yesterday wanted to chime in. I'm expecting Cap 4 to be adequately mediocre, only because it was a troubled production from the start. I don't have high hopes for these reworks, but it won't kill my hope for the MCU as a whole. Now, if Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four films that didn't even start their productions until they had a script they were happy with ends up sucking, then I'll have reason to worry. But I don't put Cap 4 on the same pressure as, for instance, Superman.
Well, I mean, first of all, I totally get what you're saying. Here's what I would offer up, though, in response, is that the life cycle of Captain America 4 and Daredevil are eerily similar, right? Both got started while it was still under the old mandate of the Bob Chapek era of, remember, a Marvel executive has revealed that this was their mandate. Crank out as much as you can, as fast as you can. Right? And the authority had been taken away from Kevin Feige. And so then what happened, once Kevin Feige got the authority back, Kevin Feige was able to say, okay, we're not happy with the way Daredevil's going. We want to change directions. It's going to cost a little bit of money. So we're going to go back, and they redid almost the whole series. That's kind of the same thing that's happened with Captain America 4. Like, Kevin Feige then said, you know what? Like with most movies in Hollywood history, even if you get to that point and the filmmakers realize, and the producers realize, this isn't turning out as good as we kind of envisioned it turning out, too bad. You got to finish the movie, make it as good as you can in the edit, and then put it out. When you have the money of a Marvel and stuff like that, and you have the cachet of a Kevin Feige, then he was able to go, you know what? This isn't up to my standards. This isn't what I want it to be. And now that Bob Iger is back and giving me my authority back, I'm going to make the call that we're going to take it back and we're going to redo a bunch of it. It looks like the results for Daredevil are going to be pretty good.
Yep.
I'm going to carry over that same hope for Captain America 4. It's okay. Like, you know, one of the great examples of this is, what was that Brad Pitt zombie movie again?
World War Z.
World War Z.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was one of the great examples of a movie that they went back and trashed most of it and just reshot it. And the result was a pretty damn good movie. I liked World War Z. So that's why I would say that the troubled production, I actually think this is going to be a good thing. We'll find out though when we see it. What are your expectations like right now for Captain America 4?
I'm excited about it. I liked the Captain Winter Soldier one, or the
Yeah,
Falcon Winter Soldier, excuse me. And I really like Anthony Mackie. I think the trailers, though repetitive, look good. I'm excited about it. And I think we have all the access to knowing about reshoots all the time now. Reshoots are normal. All right. And also, having known somebody who was working at Marvel at the time, I feel like what they scrapped definitely was for the best here, and that they've streamlined things so that they can tell the best story possible, not just churn out content. But we'll see.
All right. What's next?
Chip Crisper says, hey, crew, I love every time you bring up how dumb it is for Shuri being Black Panther. Because, yeah, it was dumb and made zero sense. Every time I think of how Daniel Craig's Bond died, can't wait for Q to take up the mantle as 007. Good old Ben Whishaw.
It would make as much sense. Again, some people have said to me, oh, you just don't like that they made a girl Black Panther. No, I have no problem. As a matter of
You
fact,
said Nakia.
one of my big arguments is that it made absolutely no sense that Nakia wasn't made the new Black Panther. Even the Queen Mother in Black Panther 1 said, you should take the flower. You should be the new Black Panther. And the only reason she said no is because she thought somebody who may be a little bit better and more equipped for it, M'Baku, maybe should do it. So it drove me crazy, especially since I love the Shuri character so much. I love that character. But it still to this day makes no sense to me. All right, everybody. We need a new warrior defender of Wakanda. So we got the guy who's going to be the new king, M'Baku, the guy who maybe 4 times out of 10 beats T'Challa, and because he came within a hair of beating T'Challa when he challenged him. The what do they call him? The Great Ape, right? So you got M'Baku. Okay, great. And over here we've got Nakia, the betrothed to the king, the betrothed to T'Challa, a global warrior who literally fought her way into Talokan and rescued Shuri and got her out. Okay, what do they call her? Not a war dog. They called her, what was the designation for those Wakandans who would go out into the war?
kind of spy ones.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, so here you go. We got M'Baku, leader of this tribe. They're going to be the new king of Wakanda. Just about beat T'Challa in a fight. Okay. And we got Nakia, betrothed to the king, international warrior, all this kind of stuff. And we got the lab girl.
She's smart.
And we got the fucking lab girl.
But she was really angry.
She was really mad. I don't give a fuck. It was the dumbest thing that they made her the new Black Panther. Made no sense whatsoever. And I don't care. Well, John, you see, in the comics, this isn't the fucking comics. This is the movies.
It was
And
a brutal impression of me. Whoa.
I know. Wow.
Whoa. Just at me next time, man.
Sad. So sad.
Oh, no.
just made no sense. Made no sense whatsoever.
Let's go
Anyway.
back to that impression, actually.
Well, John, you go
All
back
right.
to the issues.
What's next?
Ian McAllister, the two-parter, says Nick Mohammed, Nate from Ted Lasso, made a video on X saying he had to shift some of his live dates around to film something. He said he couldn't announce what it was, but he flashed a yellow sign that says "Believe" behind the paper he was reading. He also hashtagged Ted Lasso in the post. The shows he moved were June 4th to June 9th. So Ted Lasso season 4 is officially the worst kept secret in Hollywood.
Well, again,
I mean, that was part of that's marketing, though.
yeah, I mean,
So,
it was months ago where it like the words came out. Oh, what was it? Warner Brothers Television produces it for Apple TV. Anyway, they said the studio has engaged their rights on the contracts to bring the actors back for season 4. It's like, well, there's the worst kept secret. So yeah, I expect honestly any time now the full official announcement to come out that they're going into production, because I mean, it's already, look, we all know behind the scenes it's already a done deal. So we're just waiting for the official announcement to come. And I for one can't wait. I don't think they should have stopped after 3, and I really thought they should have kept going, but because here's the thing, here's the brilliant part about Ted Lasso. It's not a big narrative show where, well, once the story finished, where every episode was just about good people doing good things. We just loved hanging around Ted and Beard and when he wasn't being a little dick, Nate and Roy, and we just loved hanging around the characters. And I want to go back. I want to hang out with those characters some more. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Ian McAllister says, also, Chris, I took your advice and finished the 2 seasons of Bad Sisters.
Yay!
I've never seen a more vile, poisonous, awful human being as John Paul. Literally the antithesis of Ted Lasso. It's official. Apple TV Plus is now my favorite streamer.
Nice.
John Paul. Okay, this is not a spoiler because you know right from the jump that bro gets got. I have never wanted someone dead more in my life of fictitious characters.
Like the way I wanted Nate dead in Ted Lasso.
When you
Danny
watch
and
this
Paul.
show, though, John, because John Paul is a truly vile human being who has done just the most disgusting things. And I just kept wanting to see how he died. And when you do, it's so good.
So I
Watch
take it
that
John
show.
Paul dies.
Yeah.
All right.
that from
I
the
mean, I
beginning.
keep hearing, like, you keep raving about this show.
It's so good.
I'm going to have to check. What's the basic premise? Like, what's the elevator pitch of the show?
So essentially, they are these sisters in Ireland, and one of the sisters, her husband dies. And the death is being investigated by insurance claims adjusters. And it seems to be peppered in, though, that, oh no, this death probably was
A murder?
manufactured. And oh my God, did her sisters kill her husband?
Oh, really?
And so you're kind of going through this story,
Okay,
trying to
that
figure out
to me
how that
sounds
happened.
intriguing. I'm going to have to check this
great.
one out.
I highly recommend
After I get
it.
through Silo Season 2, I might have to check that out. Well,
It's a good.
Silo Season 2, I still have to do Lioness.
Okay, he won't
Oh,
check
yeah.
it out.
I'm really behind. Anyway, but I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it. All right, what's next?
We got Manly Man, level 9,000.
Whoa!
I'm a manly man. It's only 2 times I welled up in movies. When Frodo saves Sam at the end of Fellowship, and the father-son ring exchange at the end of Friday Night Lights. What themes in movies will always get you emotional? Thanks. Stay safe.
I mean, for me, the thing that gets me the most is extraordinary acts of friendship and loyalty. That's the one that usually chokes me up. It's not the only thing that does it. And that's why when I talked, there's only been 5 or 6 times that I've kind of welled up in movies. I've certainly gotten choked up many times, like to the point that I can actually feel tears welling up in my eyes. And everybody laughs at me for this one. And I get it. My Best Friend's Wedding, the Julia Roberts film.
That's a great movie.
Because, and here's the part that really got me. It's at the end of the film. And she failed to win the guy. And the guy she loved, she's now at his wedding as he's marrying somebody else. And she gets on the phone with her gay best friend. And she's like, yeah, blah, blah. And then she realizes, she looks up and he's there. He flew across the country because he knew his friend would need him. And I got choked up. Like it's stuff like that. It's not a romantic thing. It's rarely a tragedy thing, like for a lot of traditional things. But those extreme and extraordinary examples of friendship and loyalty, that usually chokes me up. And that's why people laugh at me when I say my best friend's way. The movie with Cameron Diaz? Yep. That I get choked up. I get tears welling up in my eyes at the end of that movie. Do you have something that does that for you?
Ooh, I mean, I ugly cry any time it's stuff about animals.
Yep.
Like Guardians
yeah.
3, I couldn't catch my breath in that theater. I was a mess when Florentiefs Go Now. Oh, it messes me up.
Wait till you see what they do to Neil in Super
I
2.
hate you so much.
It's going to be so sad.
Oh my gosh.
Heaps of sadness.
Klaus always gets me too when there's the reveal of the backstory of what happened with Klaus. That Netflix animated film. That's a really beautiful one. And then I always get misty, and I love that this has been a trend online of people seeing Lord of the Rings for the first time, and that line of "My friends, you bow to no one."
That to me. Yeah, that one gets me every time.
That one is beautiful, and I've loved seeing all these people get to that part in the movie for the first time, being like, "What?
Yeah.
What? No."
That's one of the best moments in film history.
so good.
I love that moment so
Although
much.
they should have been like, you bow to no one. And then as they all, except for you, Took. You bow, but you three.
You fool of a took.
I love him.
All right, what's next?
Gregor says, do you miss the times before reserved seats? No, moving on. Samuel Raven says, in theater lines, the excitement was palpable and so fun to see fellow fans for films like Harry Potter, Star Wars, etc. Something special about the shared experience and the sense of community created. I mean, no.
Okay, look, but what you are doing, and I respect it, you are finding the silver lining in the pool of shit you're swimming in. Like, it's like, okay, I just ate the worst meal of my life. But you know what? That Diet Coke I had with it was very refreshing. We should never go back to those dark days.
No.
I mean, standing in line for a movie. Yeah, listen, I've got some very fond memories of standing in lines for movies with my friends. But even in the midst of that, would I have traded it to not have been in a line for 2 hours? Like, would I have traded that in to say, sit in the theater beside my friend
And be
share
excited.
that moment before yes, the dark days of, I still remember the last time I had to do it. Well, it wasn't the last time, but it was one of the Wolverine movies. I can't remember which one. And it was one of those stupid things where what we as movie fans who like to go to opening day always had to endure. You literally had to go to the movie theater, depending on how big the movie was, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours before the movie would start. Because if you didn't, you risked getting a nosebleed seat or a neck breaker seat, having to sit in the very front row, or not being able to get seats together. Or that horrible thing, 4 of you walk into the theater, and hey, the theater's only half full, but there's coats strewn over seats and stuff like that. Fuck you. And I would the only people I get madder than those who strewed the coats across were my friends asked me to save their seats for them. Fuck you. Ooh, I hated that so much. So you had to show up hours
community.
early. You never knew where you were going to sit. Sometimes you and your friends couldn't sit together. It was the most awful, dark
It was
days.
a zoo.
But hey, while you were standing there, you could hang out. Okay, yeah, that part's fun, sure. Yeah, but would I trade it? No. And you know what? It's a joke that it took the United States so long to catch up to the rest of the world. Because I remember doing the show sometimes and saying, and when mentioning that, having to go early, we would literally have some of our international viewers go, wait a minute. You don't know what seat you get when you buy a movie ticket? Nah, because we're a backward little country. I mean, it was so frustrating to me. Do you have any fond memories of
I do actually. That's why I was like, oh, okay.
Actually, John, in the comics, seats were
Actually,
traditionally
And Jackson, I had a fun time.
aesthetic
I like
vibe.
making memories with my friends and family.
My friends and I smuggled pizzas in to Lord of the Rings,
You
where we just put them inside our sweatshirts and zipped them up.
are the best.
But you
ever.
couldn't have done that with reserved seating?
We could have, but it was really nice just sitting in line, hanging out with our pizzas. And then the prequel Star Wars movies,
Oh,
it was
please.
really special because my dad made a point to like camp out and then have us meet him after school so that we could get good seats. And so he had like little lawn chairs and stuff for us, which was really
we were
cute.
actually in the local news. Me and a bunch of friends, we went to the local theater for when the Phantom Menace was going to come out, when the tickets were going on sale, and we literally brought a tent.
Oh, John,
And we
John.
went 3 days before the tickets went on sale, and we were like 12th in line. Like we weren't even first in line. There were already a couple of tents and lawn chairs and whatever, and the four of us, we camped there for 3 days.
It was
on the
so worth
sidewalk
it too.
And then you
in
watched it.
Saskatoon.
So worth it.
In Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada.
So you froze
where
your balls
you
off.
see the northern lights, by the way, at night.
Dang.
Yeah, and we were in that line for 3 days.
The trenches.
Real quick though, just a little sidebar here. If you are one of the people who gets an assigned seat and then decides to not sit in that assigned seat, you're an asshole.
Yeah, you're a bad
Yeah.
You
person.
are the worst. And I don't know what's wrong with you and why you feel that privileged, but I don't know. I hope you go hug your mom and dad and figure out what's wrong.
It always happens too. It's always the like let's say two guys together, right? But they see that the chair is empty and then the next one.
Yeah.
So they'll sit apart. I was like, why did you pick two chairs that are together then?
Yeah.
If you want to sit apart like that.
Here's the thing. I personally don't mind it.
Well, I
because
do it all the time.
I've only had, that's the thing. You do it, and I don't mind. It's like, hey, if you thought maybe there's a chance that seat's going to be empty,
Yeah,
take
of
advantage of it.
course.
Because, like, I've only had it happen once where I've shown up and somebody was in my seat, and it was a matter of, oh, I think you're in the wrong seat, and they go, oh, and they get up and move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they said, oh, I think I'm in the right seat.
Yeah.
I once again, this is why I'm canceling finally.
But-
I have the worst movie theater where I
Yeah.
have the worst people show up,
That's
and it's
true.
there's other seats. Why don't you just go sit somewhere else?
Wow, someone told you and you had an assigned seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that person
Which,
is an
like, you've
asshole.
seen me not be
no,
pleasant.
that,
No,
that I
that
would not
doesn't-
let slide.
Oh, no.
That
There's no pushback.
There's
if
no-
the
there-
person that owns it does say something, you must submit.
You move.
Yeah.
No, my thing would be, okay, this has been a fun conversation. Get the fuck up.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Logan
No
calls
more
it the
talking.
voice of death when
But
I
I've
do
never
that.
had
You need
that.
to move
I'm lucky.
now.
I've never had that happen. I've it's only been in the
People
years.
see this and think I'm not unhinged. They think I'm going to be a nice pushover, and then
No,
I
no,
open
no,
my
no.
mouth.
All right, what's
Barbarians
next?
Yep.
out there.
Yeah, lines for movie theaters. Okay, Samuel Rabin says, "Hi, John. I've been watching for nearly a decade, but I've never sent in a tip.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Just want to say how much I love you and the crew. I stopped paying TV license for live here in UK to just watch your show. Is Rob coming back? I do miss your duo.
Rob, I don't know what I can and can't say right now. Well, look,
Rob's
Rob
very
stopped-
busy reading scripts.
Yeah. Rob stopped coming on the show because he got involved in a really great personal project called True Noir. That personal project as it may be, it was a huge undertaking, like a massive undertaking.
Chris is in it.
Yeah.
Chris Carr is in it.
My episode came out last week.
But-
My first episode.
Katie Sackhoff is in it.
Michael Rosenbaum is our lead.
Rosenbaum, aka Lex Luthor, is the lead in it, and
Patton Oswalt.
he is literally still working on it.
I didn't realize he got Patton in that. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and you might see some phantom script reader here on the show next week. Just saying, maybe.
Mm.
All right. Anyway,
Mm.
I can't believe
What's
True
next?
Noir didn't have any immigrants in it because Rob, right here.
Probably does have immigrants, but professional voice acting
I
ones.
was gonna say.
Why did I get the real thing right here?
you were
I'm sorry,
born
Ray.
here. You're not
I-
an immigrant.
I coordinated the Walla group. I should have contacted you.
You weren't born here? Oh, that's right. Anne was the only
He
one
came
that
over
was
as a baby.
born here.
Wow! Here they come.
Came over as
Here
a
they
baby.
come. No, I got my citizenship. Come on.
All right. I forgot Anne
Ray's
was,
getting
Anne was
nervous.
the first one of you that
Come
was actually
on.
born
Lock
here.
your doors, please.
I thought Olive was the only one born there, but
No.
you were born there too.
Yeah, but I was like, it's like I shot out of my mom and came straight here. I wasn't even 1 year old.
That's
No,
some
I'm telling you.
trajectory. That's like a 45-degree angle.
I'm telling you, I wasn't even 1 year old. So
What's
it feels
the
like
Gambit? What's the Gambit line?
It feels like
Deadpool
a-
Wolverine.
Oh man, he had so
That's
many,
like,
and I know what you're
"Shut up,
talking.
mama, and I did blah, blah." I can't remember. All right, what's next?
Ray just flying over the Pacific, about to make a
Right,
name
but
for
look-
myself.
Name for myself.
lock your doors, anyways.
We got Sam Fisher who says, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend the Strange Academy book. Basically, Harry Potter in the Marvel Universe. That's what Chris was saying. It features an incredibly eclectic and diverse cast of students and cameos from Marvel's famous and obscure magic users from like Hellstrom, Voodoo, etc.
Yeah, you were bringing that up. Again, I love the way you painted the picture because it all opens up so many possibilities of things, not just stuff from the comic, but it opens up so many possibilities I think you could do in the MCU as well.
Heck yeah.
But if they used the same day as the Harry Potter series, sorry.
The same day?
Yeah, as the Harry Potter series. Like if both these series came out on the same day, this wouldn't
Oh, like the Harry Potter television series that they're
the
doing.
the series.
Yeah, I think we're still. Well, actually, no, we're getting closer. They're getting close to going into production on that. Ooh, I am looking forward to that too, by the way. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Agent Dale Cooper who says, I think he meant to say Dan, but it autocorrected to Diane. I'm in my living room and I just received the news that David Lynch passed away. The world is darker now. I will dream tonight in his memory. Damn fine cup of coffee. Oh, yeah, nice callback. In the morning with a slice of the best cherry pie in the world should help too. That's a Twin Peaks reference
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was never a fan of. I was never a Twin Peaks guy. I was always more of a, but there's no denying the passionate following that Twin Peaks had. Did you ever get around to watching like Fire Walk with Me?
I did.
Yeah.
Was it any good?
It's good, but I made the mistake of watching Fire Walk with Me before I ever watched Twin Peaks. And it sort of kind of answers the big question of the show.
Oh my god! I kind of wanted to start watching Twin Peaks.
But you know what? It still didn't take away from the enjoyment of Twin Peaks for me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Eric Escoto says, hey, John, all this talk about Batman reminded me of all the great supporting cast members over the years who, who elevated the past films. What do you think about Guy Henry as Alfred, David Morse as Gordon, and Dennis Haysbert as Lucius Fox? Thanks, guys.
X actor and X role. I mean, as long as you name good actors for a role, I'll go, yeah, that sounds good. David Morse
yes,
has actually been one of the most underrated actors in the
Heck
entertainment
yeah.
industry forever. He's one of those guys where everybody knows his face. When they see his face, they're like, oh, that guy, but they don't know his name. He's fantastic. Like in everything from like, I still especially like him in The Rock, and you know, he had his own Equalizer TV series.
Oh, yeah, he did.
It's the only thing I remember him having a lead on, was that. But yeah, anyway, as long as you cast actors who are good, solid actors, I'll say, yeah, that sounds good. But, and those are all good sounding actors.
You guys remember the Langoliers? Come on, David Morse.
Oh my God, was he in the Langoliers?
Yeah, he was the pilot.
That's right, he was the pilot.
And Disturbia, Shia LaBeouf's.
Yep, Disturbia. He was the neighbor in
Yeah.
Disturbia. Yeah.
He's so good.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, Chris, with you saying you enjoyed Bad Sisters, I can't see them, unfortunately, doing a third season. But I wonder if they might be doing a spin-off with the detective and the Garda,
Oh.
especially with the way they introduce us to the characters. I hope so.
That could be really cool. I can't say much about that because spoilers.
Does it kind of look like season 2's the end of it, though?
It feels like it.
Okay, have there been any announcements about a season 3?
No,
Okay.
but it did feel quite finite.
All right, what's next?
It says, with regards to Greta's Narnia, I thought the movie might have been more about Susan. Her character never ends up in Narnia because she wanted to grow up, have boyfriends, and wear makeup. But she is also the only character who remains alive at the end.
Again, I just... with the way that the last set of movies kind of fizzled out, and I just know. Plus, I'm not really clear right now, where is Greta going to start? Is she going to start with Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe? Is she going to do something kind of original that then leads into that? Like, I don't really know what her strategy is at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see where she picks up everything. But I'm super glad it's getting an IMAX release. That's great. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, Happy Friday, John and crew. With its banning, do you think we will continue to see shows find a second life? The Suits phenomenon was really attributed to people seeing those videos, many movie clips as well, that turned me on to things never before seen. This is about
TikTok.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like I actually got turned on to Suits because of YouTube clips. Like it just for some reason at some point, clips of Suits started popping up, and I finally went, this actually looks pretty good. So Anna and I started watching it. It's like, oh my God, this show is great. Suits is great. I loved that show. It got a little weird when the one character went to jail. Like when Mike went to jail, like that's where the show got kind of weird. Anyway, but the first bunch of seasons are just great. I'm looking forward to Suits LA. But again, here's the thing about TikTok. If it does get banned, I mean, if there wasn't already like a bunch of things out there that do exactly what TikTok does already, I mean, you may like the community a little bit more, maybe some of the functionality, but basically YouTube Shorts are the same thing. Instagram Reels are the same thing.
There's something else new too that people have been trying to migrate to.
The red, well, Chris was talking about it
Red
earlier,
Note.
like the red note and stuff like that. So I don't really know. No, it will mean that a lot of these studios, even with the older content, need to kind of pivot to some other platform. But I don't think it'd be that hard. Like Jai CSC in the live chat said it perfectly. Vine disappeared. I remember everybody saying Vine is the
was
thing.
big.
I remember at AMC, I don't know if you were with us yet, Jonathan, you might have been, but like AMC was pressuring me, start making Vines. It's got to be Vines. And it was one of the biggest fights I ever had at AMC when I said, no, we're not making Vines. But it's like, you don't understand. It's the future. Everybody's doing Vines. And then Vines disappeared.
Wave of
And
the
you're right,
future.
JCSC. And the world went on. MySpace disappeared. And the world went on.
It still hasn't for
Not for me.
It not for me.
Me and
Never
Jonathan-
forget.
Me and Jonathan
Yeah.
only chat on there.
Yeah.
That's the only place we are.
He's in my top 5 because it's only me and him.
Like Tom just disappeared. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah. Poor Tom from
Ran
You get my message yesterday, John?
Do you know I worked for the guy who created MySpace?
you worked for Tom?
But his name wasn't Tom.
What
No,
the
it's
hell?
Tom.
His name was Greenspan.
Oh,
Remember?
spoilers.
Do you remember
It's
him?
not Tom Greenspan. I feel so lied to.
I
My
know,
whole
Tom
my
was-
whole life is in shambles.
I
now.
worked for the guy shortly after I came to LA. I worked for the guy who started MySpace and sold it for tons of money, and
Dang.
it made this individual, in my estimation, kind of believe that they were a business genius, and didn't go well for them. I think by the end of it, literally this person who kind of created MySpace and made billions, if I understand it properly, by the end of it, like, I think he was sleeping on the couch of one of the other people I was working with.
Oh.
And like, it was, kind of a big fall from grace sort of thing. Anyway.
Money.
I hope not. I
Easy
hope
Oh
come,
yeah,
easy
Joseph
go.
SFL is also pointing out Periscope. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Remember that was the
short-lived.
biggest thing in the world for like a
Short-lived
minute.
Periscope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember they our hosts over at AMC and Collider, they'd always be doing periscopes before
Yeah.
we'd go on set.
Oh, the folks at the stream.
But like in Burbank.
Yeah, the studio.
Like Ashley would do a periscope right
Yeah.
before we'd go on or
Yeah, some of
whatever.
our cast members would be doing quick periscopes before going live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was
people
hot
started
for a
getting in
minute.
trouble for that too because they started broadcasting live events or like movies with Periscope.
Not our people.
No,
not our people.
Yeah, people using.
But that's where I
Periscope,
first heard of it.
What was the one that popped up during the pandemic where you just talked?
Well, there's Marco Polo.
No,
Was
where
it
you'd be like in a room
Spaces?
with everybody.
What,
And they
was
would
it
do-
called Spaces? Was it a Twitter thing?
No.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Y'all like
Almost
chat
figured out.
roulette?
All right,
Yeah,
what's
Chat
next?
Roulette's good.
Yeah, Mega Red says, rest in peace, David Lynch. I love Twin Peaks Eraserhead. Was so weird, but still unique. Watched Mulholland Drive yesterday. What a movie. Do you guys remember your first impressions when you watched it? Still trying to tie it all together in my head. I just felt like an overwhelming feeling of just being creeped out.
Well, it's also the movie where I, for the rest of my life, fell in love with Naomi Watt. Like, oh, what?
Sorry, perfect image. Let me know that it was Clubhouse that I was thinking of.
Ah,
To those of you who thought I couldn't figure out what Zoom was, what?
Yeah.
Is it
Zoom's, yeah, Zoom's not a
Do you have to
That's what I
talk to
took
community.
John.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay.
What was your first impressions of
Mulholland?
Mulholland Drive?
Oh, well, I watched it when I was way too young. It's like, one, driving seems terrifying, and two,
Well-
this movie's so weird.
It's a credit to you that you decided to still pursue acting.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's what
especially
acting
after
in
watching
Hollywood's
that.
like.
Oh, God.
All right, what's next?
Forbidden says, I believe for a while now that Feige just wants to end the multiverse saga right away, which is why all these projects are being delayed until after Doomsday, putting the focus more on getting Avengers 5 and 6 right.
No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I mean, if that was the case, they just wouldn't have, like, Blade. Again, the whole explanation of Shang-Chi was like, it was supposed to be tied into Kang, and that's gone now. And so that kind of makes it a little bit understandable. Also, don't forget, then when Bob Iger came back, he said, we need to dial back how much we're producing and focus more on making the stuff we are producing higher quality and blah, blah, blah. So, no, I don't think that's it at all. They're going to get to Avengers 5 and 6. We got 3 films coming out this year. So, yeah, I don't think that's it at all. All right, what's next?
Brutalista says Blade, an 80s period piece where Blade is an experienced mercenary. He becomes disillusioned after finding that his boss is part of a long-standing vampire underground, a la HBO's Barry. Chaos ensues. Thoughts? Really? They just need something, anything.
No.
Whatever.
No, I think if you're going to do a Blade
Whatever they want
film
to do.
today, make it today. It's got to be a modern era thing where he's probably already been around for a while, stalking vampires in the shadows. I really do think that's the way you have to go with it.
Yep.
So now, here's the thing: if we already had a Blade film, and we already had that movie going for a while, you could say that character got turned in the 1930s if you wanted to, and then you could go kind of do a prequel movie to it in the 80s if you wanted to. But honestly, for me, and I'm only speaking for myself, I'm not right or wrong. I'm just the way I see it. Is I think you got to do it modern day, pick it right up. If you're going to have him in the MCU, you got to have him up to date with the MCU. That's how I see it.
You know why I think it's been taking so long? They're filming it like Boyhood. From when he was a
Blade
baby.
is being
Blade-
shot over the course of 7 years. They've actually been shooting the movie this whole time. All right, what's next?
All right, we got your boy says, hey, John, just watched Wolfman last night. I was surprisingly disappointed with a really weak script.
Oh.
I did love the special effects and audio design. The whole process of the wolf man's transformation was really cool. I haven't been sold on it.
Hearing mixed things. Now that Anne got back from her trip, so we're probably going to go see it this weekend. I was waiting for her to get back. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I've been hearing not so amazing things about it, like not terrible things, but I've been hearing some not so amazing things about it. Whatever. I'm still intrigued by it. I know Chris is not planning on seeing it.
No, my friends are at it right now, and they're going to tell me how they enjoyed it.
Well,
but
There you go.
I'm not going to see
Don't
it.
cancel the Dark Universe again.
Yeah. Well, yet again. All right. What's next?
The Tick with a two-parter. I get there's been the pandemic and the strikes. I know the popular thing to say is let people take their time with their vision, creativity, and art. But sometimes you strike while the iron's hot. I don't get why new seasons and sequels take so long now. I'm not saying rush things either, but Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones were mostly annual and acclaimed. Reception aside, Star Wars and Marvel, several movies, billions every year. It's feasible, just not happening. Not everything can be Avatar crushing it 10 years later.
I regret that I don't remember the name of the YouTube channel. I stumbled across a video the other day that was specifically on, and it caught my attention because I've been complaining about this for so long, but that was specifically on that we live in an era now where instead of getting a new season every year with 20 plus episodes, the way they used to do it, and even in more modern times where you weren't getting 20 plus episodes like Game of Thrones, like Breaking Bad, they still were able to deliver top notch, some of the greatest television of all time every year, that they don't do that now. And, they went into a bunch of things like the fact that they just don't greenlight stuff anymore, the fact that they won't commit long-term to shows, the fact that, there's a lot of different things. Basically, though, this whole thing of, well, it takes some time. No, that's an excuse. We know it is an excuse because they did it before with the highest quality possible. As long as you commit to it and move forward with it in a timely manner and lock people down. But streamers are so quick to cancel shows now because successful shows don't actually bring in new memberships. New shows bring in new memberships, and then you're just kind of maintaining. So it's a big part of the streaming model with it. But yeah, we got to get back to the point where we get a new season every year, especially now that you're only doing like 8-episode seasons. There's just no reason for it. Anyway. All right. What's next?
All right, we have some members here, but we
Okay,
only have a couple.
got time for a couple. Let's
Yeah.
do a few.
King Daddy Goat says, "Hey crew, hope all is well. No spoilers. I've seen episode 1 of Severance season 2, and it just feels so good to be back at Lumen. I've really missed these characters. Have you guys seen it yet? What do you think?" No, I'm personally,
I thought it came out today.
Yeah,
I thought so. I haven't seen the new episode because I thought it came out today. So no, I've not watched the new episode.
Personally, I'm doing the season finale of Silo, and then I'm going to do the debut of.
I can't believe it's the
tonight.
season
That's my plan
finale.
too.
I heard the finale of Silo is crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
excited.
what I've heard.
Oh, I gotta finish. We'll start watching.
All right,
it.
what's next?
Okay, we got one more here. It says JCC. Watch the season premiere of Severance. I liked it, but and this is very petty and no one cares. The previous season recap might be the worst one put together.
Whoa.
Again, I haven't seen
Yeah.
it, so I can't comment on
Hard
it.
to say on that, but that was it for our that's it. So
Oh, okay.
And
We're done.
guys, good timing, because that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Hey, see you guys next
Jonathan
week.
Voico.
hey, just want to say happy 11th anniversary, Laura. Love you so much.
Oh, your
It's our-
anniversary.
This weekend, Sunday is our 11th anniversary.
Congratulations, guys.
Oh.
And of course, Chris, you got anything big to announce?
Go listen to True Noir. You
Yes.
can hear me in the most recent episode, and I will be in a spicy episode next time we air them. There is a delay because of the fires. And also go speakfriendstudio.com and take classes with me. Okay, bye.
My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.